Welcome to Texas.
Right. Before heading out to hunt, it's essential we put some meat on the grill. This is one of my most favorite places to hunt because you just never know what kind of animals you're going to encounter when hunting in Southwest Texas. After all the anticipation, I finally made it to my ground blind. But before the hunt begins, I need to spread some gold nuggets. This will help draw the animals out of the thick brush, hopefully long enough for me to get a shot off. When spreading the corn, you don't want to put it all in one spot. You really need to spread it out far and wide to make the animals work for it. That will keep them around longer, because once the corn is gone, so are they. A nice axis buck made his way in, but he was just starting to grow his annual rack in. Not sure exactly how old he is, but if I had to guess, he is only about 2.5 to 3.5 years of age. Before long, the day had turned to night, and the following morning, Scott Callahan had moved to the front of the ranch and was watching some animals coming out of the brush.
You know, I looked at several places before I bought this ranch, and I knew it'd been, pretty well shot out, wasn't much here, but I saw it with a lot of possibilities the way it's laid out. So I started working on it, trying to improve the situation from all angles. Feeders running every day, 365 days a year. Water at strategic locations around the ranch, feeding grain and milo and mineral blocks and everything I could do to make sure that the animals didn't really need anything. And then we started working on the quality of the deer. Took out quite a few culls. By that I mean, deer that would never develop into a really nice rack. And over the years, it started to pay off, and I think we've come a long ways. We've got a real good situation here now.
We watched game for a couple of hours, but the bigger bucks just never made an appearance. So we decided to head back to the cabin and come up with a new game plan.
It's a great morning. Lots of action.
So I booked a trip with Broshin Expeditions to come down to South Texas for a big game hunt. I'd never been on a big game hunt down in South Texas. First leg of our trip, we ended up in Del Rio, Texas at Eddie's father's ranch, where we had the opportunity to see a ton of free-ranging exotics. We saw a ton of game down there, and I just couldn't get the shot off that I wanted. So we changed course a little bit and rolled down further south to Laredo, Texas. And we are now at the Trinidad Ranch in Webb County, just outside of Laredo, and I could not wait to get out here. This place is incredible.
Holy cow, look at that.
It wasn't long after Scott got settled in the blind that he began to see game. This was a perfect management buck for Scott to shoot, especially being on his first ever whitetail hunt. But I thought it was going to be a little bit too easy for him and wanted to give him an experience he would never forget. So I had something else in mind for him.
So after 4 days of hunting, I'm finally gonna get a shot. I've got this big buck in my sights at 200 yards, and I'm getting ready to pull the trigger, and I feel this tap on my back, and it's Eddie. Eddie says, no, we're gonna make this personal. I'm like, what? So we climb down out of the box blind, and we're gonna spot and stalk this deer. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Wow. Look at this buck. Wow. Wow. Look at this guy. One of the old warriors. He's got a brow tine broken off. This is a great management buck. I'm stoked for some Texas hunting. Whoa, hang on. There's a javelina down there. I'm gonna take a shot at him. A double, man. A double. Off the deer. I was checking out the deer. Saw a javelina. Never shot a javelina before. Shot the javelina off the deer. Look at this. I was down there admiring my deer, and we saw this guy walking across the road. So I put the gun on the deer, mounted my gun on the deer, and shot this javelina boar here. Never shot a javelina. It's my first time in Texas. We got an old warrior deer, and we've got this little javelina boar here. This is awesome.
Brought to you by Now that my client was all taken care of, I decided to make some time for myself and headed out to the brush for an evening's hunt. Well, it's a pretty good shot right behind the shoulder. He didn't go very far. He's about 10 yards in the brush right over there. That's my first ever trophy javelina here in South Texas with a 22 carbine. Okay, 22 long rifle is all it takes. Especially when you get him this close to you, it's a lot of fun. Put it right behind the shoulder too. He's just right there. I'm gonna give him a few more seconds just because it is a 22, just to make sure, and then we'll go get our hands on him, all right? Wow, what an experience, man. I tell you what, I love hunting these little guys. But this is my first trophy javelina here in South Texas, and with an old 22 carbine. I mean, this thing's barely even put together. I found it up by the house today. The barrel's all rusted out, doesn't have a rear sight there or anything, but I did shoot it a few times. It was hitting cans at all different ranges, so I felt confident with it. And normally I get these animals in close to me anyway, because I'm a traditional bow hunter. But now that I'm experimenting a little bit more with firearms, kind of taking a step back, and you know, I need a little challenge. So the 22 Magnum, or the 22 long rifle was the challenge for me today. But of course I got it into 5 yards, put it right behind the shoulder, and it didn't even go 10 yards here, which is a good thing, because I surely don't like to be tracking game in this brush, you know, so. But I wouldn't be shooting at these things with a 22 long rifle at more than 5 or 10 yards, because of the knockdown power. There's just not much power once you get out there with these guns, and you don't want to be tracking them through this stuff, trust me. So anyway, it doesn't hurt to take a step back. You know, with all of today's modern technologies and high-tech camouflage and drones and trail cameras, and it's almost too much for me. It just takes away from the hunting experience. So I challenge you to come along with me, okay? and, pick up something a little bit more primitive to enjoy your next hunt. All right? And remember, the journey is the destination. After my hunt, we headed back to camp and ended the day in the usual way, putting meat on the grill, smoking it slowly over mesquite coals, and telling stories. Be sure to stay tuned next week for part 2 of Hunting the Texas Southwest, right here on Ultimate Outdoors Destination.